Hi, I'm Jenae McKnight, and I am your educational anchor for Agape Learning Tools podcast. This is episode 13, and we are talking and continuing our conversation from last week about parenting. And with me, I have my special friend, our special guest, Kristin Mantta. And Kristin, she is a mom first, and then she is also an author. She is an educator. She's an edupreneur, an editor. She's also an entrepreneur, and she used to teach English at our school where I used to work. And she is just fabulous. So I want to just welcome today to our show, Kristin Mantta. Woo!
Thank you so much, Jenae. I am so excited to get to chat about these ideas and celebrate all of the big ideas you have about parenting. So thank you for inviting me to chat with you tonight.
Yes, welcome so much. So I kind of started the conversation last week about parenting, and I just wanted to talk to you because you are an actual parent and you are going through it like all the other parents during this time. And your children went through the pandemic, and just want to see, like, have you noticed any differences, any changes? You know what I mean? As far as like, not only just in your own parenting, but other people that you know that are parents right now.
There is so much about parenting that has changed. So finding joy in always growing in those challenges that feel overwhelming puts me to prayer quite often because you taught me that through your book. Being able to go to prayer immediately when your intuitions are going off and focusing into the joy of prayer to guide through those challenges, because especially in the pandemic, when you were pushed in so many different ways as a parent, as a teacher, trying to get on board with taking on all these different roles while still working with your own huge world changes and new career structures, it was very, very challenging. But to see how we grew as a family, to see how we grew in conversation, to see how we grew listening to one another and being able to really play together in amazing structures that allowed learning and family growth and connection. I don't even know if this answers your question, but you had so many details about just what it's like to be a parent. And it's like that. You're just in the moment trying to do the next best thing.
Yeah. And that's really good that you were, mentioning that, like how you seized those opportunities during the pandemic, and then even afterwards to just kind of educate in your own way. I think a lot of times parents kind of think that when you say teach, I instantly think about, I have to be like a classroom setting. I have to be like super educated and I have to know so much. But really, parents can teach their children just about life,
Absolutely.
And that was a perfect.
Everything is all about life.
Yeah. That was a perfect opportunity to just teach life lessons, how to cook.
Yes. And that's what it's all about, is we all are pushing them to be their own best self.
Yes.
By choosing to try to do our best so that they can leave the nest and be on their own, doing all of those things, knowing how to cook, knowing how to care for themselves, moving into their own parenting roles one day. I use a lot of my mistakes because it's hard when you're in there and you're like, oh, I should have done this. I should have been softer. I should have been stricter. You're constantly re-questioning what you do in your own thought process to try and get the message across, while also making dinner, while also managing a career, while also doing like your own personal stuff. You're also creating these little lives to one day be able to go live their next best moment and their best life. So there's so much thought process that is just happening boom, boom, boom when you're totally plugged in to being a parent.
Right. Okay. So Kristin, tell me, what would you say is probably your greatest joy? Let's start there. What would you say is your greatest joy of being a parent?
When we have worked through something difficult and one of my sons will walk by and it's a perfect high five.
That's cool.
When we were frustrated and we both were like, his idea wasn't matching my idea, from mowing the grass to hanging up balloons to just like cleaning your room. And we also share houses with their dad and bonus mom. So there's lots of different dynamics of like getting reset, going through things that just cause like that friction where we could both just be like, oh, and mad and angry with each other, that we really have to like take a moment and step back and learn just how to like honor one another.
Yeah.
You know, as a mom, I have to shut it sometimes because it's not about me.
You're right. That's true.
It's not about how I want them to process the moment of getting ready for school. It's about letting them have space to put their own routine together so that they can go to college and put their own routine together on their own and be just fine.
And that
but as a mom, I'm like, why aren't you putting your shoes on? I asked you to put your shoes on. Do that. To one of my kiddos, that didn't even make sense. Why would I put that on before I put my cologne on? That's the last step. Then I walk out the door. But because I am wanting to like control like those type things, you know, it was just really having to honor their points of view. Yeah. What they need in the moment to make it fit whatever they're learning through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So many big ideas.
Their processes are different. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, we're doing this. We're just having a normal conversation. But, you know, that's the thing. Their process is not necessarily our process. And as long as you reach the end goal, really, that's what's most important. Long as, hey, we got to be out the door at 6:01. Long as you're ready at 6:01, whatever your process is, do what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Which reminds me, you said my greatest joy. So we can go through all of that and all of that analyzing. And then I get asking, what's the matter? What are you feeling right now? You know, oh my God, just leave me alone. Let me get ready, Mom. And then we can get ready to walk out the door. And it's that perfect high five. That's those moments I live for because we made it. That is their preteens. So that is a hug right now. That's it. So that moment is what is my greatest joy. Because we made it through and we can go on and go find more joyful stuff to do.
Well, that's so cool. That's so cool. So what about your greatest challenge? We're going to flip the script. What has been your greatest challenge as a parent?
To check my ego, what I just said, to not have it have to be I thought I was a pretty flexible person. I thought I was pretty go with the flow. I thought that I could no, we all like things the way that we like things. And when you're moving very fast and doing careers and getting from point A to point B, as a mom, you plan so many steps because that's what fits your life. To have to check that it's not just my life, it's also their life that's involved in it. Yeah. And to honor what their process is. So they can run their own families and their own businesses and their own college careers and do their own thing one day. That is such a huge ego check. It is so difficult.
So difficult. Say parents should sometimes parents have to learn how to, and I hate to put it so crass, but sometimes parents have to just learn how to shut up and let their kids do, you know what I mean? Let their kids do their thing.
Yes.
But not to the point where you don't parent, which kind of leads into, one of my next questions is how can parents find the time, to actually be the parent? How is it that, we want our kids to, okay, this was a question I said, so that they're really having a hard time with being the parent. And what does that mean to you about, we want parents to be the parent? Because a lot of times I hear comments and conversations that parents are not parenting, but what does that mean? If you had to wrap that up in a nutshell, like, when parents need to parent, what does that mean? Because some parents are like, okay, I think I am parenting.
Well, I think that statement says a lot. I'm going to jump in right there. I think that statement says a lot because I do believe, without a doubt, every parent is doing their absolute best to do the next best thing.
Yes.
Every person, no parent wakes up and says, how can I screw this up today?
Right.
No parent is thinking that. Every parent is waking up with the best they got to offer this day, with the best they got to put forth into their children, with whatever is in their cup. Every parent is showing up full force to do their absolute best that day.
Right.
So with that said, I think that it's an evolutionary thing. There's no one thing that parents can do. It's all the little things. It's the millions of things. It's the millions of check-ins. It's, it's just praying,
Yeah.
putting your child into prayer. God bless this decision. God bless our lives. God bless his day in every way. That covers everything. You know, God bless that my most common prayer for my children is God bless their day in every way in Jesus' name, amen. And I say it over and over and over. You know, if I'm worried about wishing them well on a test, you know, or I'm wishing them well at their swim meet, I'm wishing them well at whatever goals they're trying to achieve. As a mom, you're pushing for that child's greatness. That secondary anxiety, that is a very real experience to have second anxiety as a parent, because you're feeling that for your child. Learning to pray that is the best thing a parent can do, to take all of this energy that I just even heard in my own voice, talking faster, getting more rapid, using my hands, all of my, just talking about that gets me.
Right.
So learning how to pray into those emotions and learning how to use that big, like, mother's intuition for the greater good of your kids. It's a huge battle to always choose the most positive things to focus on.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like you were saying, just, you know, we have so much anxiety sometimes about, are we making the right decisions? Are we parenting right? And then I've seen parents cry and, just really, I don't know what to do. They just get really frustrated. And the thing is that, like you said, just take the weight off of yourself as a parent and know that you're not going to get it all the way right. You're going to make some mistakes. But the thing is just being there. Be present for your child.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think that's a key point, to just be present. Even if they tell you a whole bunch of wild stuff and you don't even know what to answer, you don't know what to say. It may make you angry, sad, mad, all at the same time. But just breathe through it and just be present and listen. I think that's what our kids really, really want from us. They want to spend quality time with us. They want us to listen more than we speak. And then when they want and need advice, they want us to be there to be able to give them the best advice that we can, I
absolutely agree.
Yeah. And Agape Learning Tools podcast is sponsored by Creating New Paths in Parenting. This nonfiction book is a guide for parents to raise successful 21st century kids. In this book, there are stories shared, tips given, and facts for parents. Get your ebook or paperback copy today at agapelearningtools.com, along with other educational resources. Also, you can order your parenting shirts just by emailing info@agapelearningtools.com.
Having those open and honest conversations that allows that kind of dynamic to flow between your child. So they will come and say, hey, Mom, how should I handle this situation? Mom, how should I approach this? I didn't get such a good grade. What should I do?
Right.
I didn't understand what we did in math today.
Right.
So-and-so hurt my feelings on the playground. I'm being very and kids come home and, that was their big event that day. Yeah. It's so big to kids because that is their life. That's their job. That's their career. Yeah. We as adults get overwhelmed in those situations. Right. So just being able to give the best advice, wanting the best advice. I think you nailed it in that it's really just like the best advice giving spot possible. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Here's how I would mold my behavior. Here's the words I would say. I think back to sentence starters. I try to give sentence starters all the time. I get the eye roll. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but then I hear it. I hear it in a conversation that they have about a co-athlete or what they think about kids on their team. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's stuck. My words, it's stuck. Yeah. That greatest joy right there. When you see that you are laying down all of these big experiences and little snippets start building so you can see that you are being their best teacher, their first best teacher. I think you brought that up earlier about, what is parenting? It's just teaching your kids how to be happy, teaching your kids how to enjoy the world, how to be great citizens and experience love so they have that to give. Yeah. And be their unique selves.
They don't have to be anybody but themselves. And that's really important to we verified them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we help them to see that
Yes.
you're a unique individual and it's okay that you're different. It's okay that you're not like everybody else. And you are wonderful just like how you are, because we know the word says that we're fearfully and wonderfully created. And that's what we have to continue to reinforce to our kids. But I'm going to kind of switch the subject to
Please
education
do.
now. Go ahead. Okay. So I'm going to switch to education. And one of the things now that's prevalent, especially with our inner city youth, is that a lot of our children after the pandemic, they are 2 to 3 years behind in their reading and writing skills. So as a parent, how can I help to close that gap? Because I just believe that as a parent, if I work with the teacher, that we can make some great strides. But what do I do as a parent to help close that gap of 2 to 3 years behind?
I think learning how to play games, any kind of game in the car. If you have little kiddos looking for letters, playing the ABC game, trying to engage in conversation, looking for sight words on the billboards, the word the, one, counting with numbers, looking at colors, just engaging your child in conversation when you're out and about on errands doing like stuff. Engage your child in fun conversation about the world around them.
Yeah.
And then you're really, really making a connection that you can continue through high school. So they tell you that important stuff.
Yeah. And that's really good, using that time, because that kind of leads to my next question is about how do parents find the time to be there, to support, to teach, and to spend that quality time with their children? How do I use my time wisely as a parent? Because that's the biggest thing. Parents are like, I work all day, I get off work, I'm super tired. So then I just want to come home and go to sleep. I really don't have time to spend any quality time with my child. So how do parents fit it in?
I think by finding some kind of self-care practice, and this is becoming a very popular hot topic in all realms of life.
Yes.
Here, professionals talk about healthcare and, self-care.
Yeah.
Part of healthcare, but looking for ways to de-stress, looking at what we can do as adults to set healthy patterns for our kiddos so that we can look for things of education, because that will move you into more freedom. It moves you into more money, more opportunity. Looking at ways that you yourself as a parent can always be going through some kind of learning process to move up a job, to hit a career goal, to go find new opportunities for yourself so that you can empower your kids for the same.
Right.
Being able to take care of yourself. And it's hard work. None of this is easy. This is the day-to-day diligence and goal setting and life creation and the things that you do in your own professional world on top of parenting to make sure that you can always be looking for ways to give your kiddo the best education experience, life experience. I got totally off topic in that. Because I wrote down education and I couldn't remember why.
That's okay. That's okay. Just go ahead. We can always edit it out. It's okay. It really is. That's why I said it's a live conversation. This is why we're not live. So we'll just cut all this part out. So I'm going to ask the question again, then we're just going to start over from there and she'll cut that part out. Okay. All right. So this leads me to my next question about time, and how can parents find the time to be there, to support, to teach, to spend quality time with their child or with their children when they have so much going on? A lot of parents are, they go to work all day, they get off, they're tired, they cook dinner, then they're ready to go to bed. They really don't know how to fit the time in to be present for their child. So what would you suggest for parents to being able to carve out that time?
I would say pick what you love and milk it.
Yeah.
If it's cooking together and you need help in the kitchen, teach them how to do it. Teach them how to crack eggs. Teach them how to dry a dish. Make it a game for little kiddos.
Yeah.
You give a baby a sponge and set them there to go in a bowl. They might clean 2 spoons, but then next time they'll clean 4. And then
Yeah.
she becomes your dishwasher. It's putting presents of whatever you need the most help with. If
Yeah.
you like being outside and gardening, get your kiddos out there and, pay them a penny a weed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it was a quarter if you found a worm, and they would really dig for stuff, and you learned how to just engage your kiddos in what it is you needed to get done so that
Yeah.
you were always building family continuity.
That's
That's
true.
how I found the time anyway, was always just having them present with me, teaching them how I needed them to operate with whatever task we
Yeah.
needed to do and how to engage in being a family.
Yeah, one of the things I remember doing with my daughters was like, if I was cooking or washing dishes, I would have them to read to me, out of a level
Oh,
book at their level. I would say, hey, take a few minutes, read to me, or, share with me what happened today at school. What did you think about that? Why did you do that? Why did the teacher say that? They may say the teacher said this and I didn't understand why she said that. And it really made me upset. And then I'm just like, okay, well, let's process, let's work through your feelings. So, why did that make you feel like that? Why did that affect you? And so, like you said, you're asking a bunch of whys, and they may not necessarily be able to answer them all, but then just tell them, what, that's okay. But just think about that. Why did it even bother you? What is it inside of you that triggered? And just kind of, like you said, talking to them and communicating with them in different ways, like you said, whether it's through cooking, whether it's through them reading a book to you, whether they're doing their math facts with you, you're in the kitchen and you're like, what's 5 times 3? And you can be still cooking, still washing dishes, and doing all of that stuff. So yeah, I get it. Doing it while you are engaged in whatever you're doing, you can still continue to engage them. But yeah, so Kristin, did you have anything else that you think that you would like to share about parenting with our viewers today?
Just that you did the best job possible you could today.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's always a new day. And when I do make a mistake, or I feel bad about something, or I think, oh, I wish I would have handled it, I know that I, one, learned from it because it's going to come up again.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I can go to my kids and say, hey, I blew it on that one.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from that mistake because here's what I did wrong, or here's how I grew from doing that. This is what I'm going to try to work on. Whether it's not yelling so much or not getting so frustrated or not trying to be so controlling or not trying, whatever it is you can see that visibly annoys your kiddo.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that should go off, that either you can throw that energy somewhere else,
mm-hmm.
Or that you can just learn from the things that make you feel, oh man, I wish I would have done something different.
Right.
Telling my kiddos how to do that, because
mm-hmm.
then it enables them to use the language when they need to come back to me for advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they know how to ask for that. Like you said about advice giving. When I'm giving them advice about my own behavior, here's what I didn't like, or I'm sorry, or here's what I'm going to grow from.
Mm-hmm.
They can have the humility one day to come to me and say, Mom, I'm sorry. I wish I would have done this differently. Or I just got frustrated. I shouldn't have talked like that. You'll empower them to be self-reflective in their own behavior.
Yeah. And you know what? Kind of like what you were saying is that I just think it's so important that we always remember to ask for forgiveness. As adults, kids, that means the world to kids when we as adults can ask for forgiveness from our kids, because they don't always know, you know what I mean? Like they don't always know that, hey, that's okay for an adult to apologize to me. I think I remember apologizing to a kid one time and it blew his mind. He had never in his life had an adult apologize to him. And we became best of friends after that. Because sometimes it's just humbling yourself.
Yeah. And that's that huge ego check I was talking about.
Yeah.
Parenting is humbling. It will put you in your most vulnerable situations when you lose your temper, you're at home, you had a rough day, all the mom stuff that happens that we sometimes like too sharply have a tone of voice, or we're too tired to do a chore, or, we forget to check something. Just the normal life stuff that happens. Yeah. It's tough to just check that ego sometimes and say those things, but it shows your kiddo how to do it. Because they're going to be a parent one day and the same exact situations are going to come up, and you're still going to be giving your child advice on how to be. the best parent and what you learned from as being a parent.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Kristin, for your time. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom today. I'm sure we're going to see you on some episodes other than this one coming up. But I just want to say to our audience, check us out on agapelearningtools.com, and you will see our parenting resources. You'll see our book, my book, Creating New Paths in Parenting. That will be on there. Also, you'll see we have parent advocate starters for when you go to school with your child. Also, we have parent affirmations and student affirmations that are going to be uploaded to the site very soon. So just go ahead and take a look at those, refer them to other people. So we want you also to share, like, and comment on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, also on Anchor and on YouTube. So we thank you guys for your time tonight. Again, remember to share, like, and comment on this episode. And we will see you next week on Agape Learning Tools Podcast. Bye.
Bye.